Sunday. It's 4 p.m. in the UK. It's 8 a.m. Nice, bright and early out there on the Mountain Pacific time or whatever it's called, Mountain time, way out on the West Coast. And we're back with the NFC West Show. Got my boy Jason and Bo. How you guys doing?
Excellent. Doing great.
Good to see you. Apologies for last week. I was a little bit optimistic in the returning time from Cardiff to get back. It's like I don't know what I was thinking.
Right.
There's no way I was going to get back in time. So I appreciate you just bumping this for this week. Jay, it didn't give us a chance to talk about the Cardinals-Niners game last week. How did you feel? I mean, competitive for, like half at least. You were in and about. Dobbs definitely taking those steps on.
Yeah. You know what we talked about all year. Teams competitive. They're playing tough. They're playing smart. They're playing aggressive. You can tell they're coached very well. They know situations, the situational football, everything you want to see as a fan is happening. Every week, usually on Tuesdays, I'll rewatch the game. Take a little bit of notes. This is the first time, and I don't know how long. I just didn't rewatch the game because that game was really tough to watch. I guess you could say we kept it close, but just the physicality, the talent, really, of the two teams was night and day to me. It was just, you guys were just playing at a different level, even though I thought we were playing very good, very hard, at every phase. I mean, offense, defense, special teams, and we were just outmatched, outclassed. I mean, there was just too much skill. I feel like for us to pull it out.
I had that feel, didn't it? Of
It
some
really
college games
did.
you watch. You have those college games where they're like two teams go head to head. Oregon, Colorado Buffaloes was a prime example. Two teams that are doing well, but just when you go down the rosters and you go just man for man, there's just like the Niners versus the Cardinals. It's just a better team, and you were competitive. You're in there, but it just came to the fore that the skill sets and the level.
Yeah.
It was just I mean,
Never
and you look at it,
really
you
felt
like.
like we were in there.
You never were not in it, but you were never really in it. It was kind of like
Yeah.
No, you guys made it interesting, which was great about it. I mean, you guys played good enough football, especially through the first half, where you were like, okay, like here we go, like you're playing, your guys are playing, and I think that's probably the best thing about this team is they are playing some inspired football despite having a weak roster overall. Like they want to win.
Yeah. Absolutely, and hopefully we put these tanking rumors to bed. The team I watch every week, man, they're doing the opposite of tanking. They're playing hard, they're playing smart, they're playing fast, and it's just a joy to watch come together. And I think you can just see down the road. I think we're going to be. But man, Christian McCaffrey's good. I think Christian McCaffrey's he's obviously the leader in the clubhouse for MVP, but who pissed him off before the game? Like,
I don't know what happened there. Yeah, somebody must have done something.
He
bumped
came
into
out with
him.
his hair on fire and just, man.
Somebody in that locker room must have put him in the wrong seat or done something on his way in. It's just like he was not a happy bunny and just kind of took
his
it out on you
water or
guys.
something. Yeah. Oh man. So.
But yeah, it's an interesting one. You mentioned the MVP. I mean, he's MVP for the last however many years has always gone to a QB, right? But he's got to be. He carries on in that vein, and this week will be a massive test. If he carries on like that, then he's got to be in the mix as a conversation.
Absolutely, the guy's a beast.
I mean, and weirdly enough, as you say against you guys, we didn't even use Kittle. We didn't even use Debo. I don't think Debo caught a ball. I don't think he caught one pass, and Kittle got one for 9 yards or something. It was like. We're spreading it around. As you say, we've got the talent, we've got the skill set in other areas. So teams don't know where to go. Okay, block off Debo, block off Kittle. Oh, CMC runs all over you, and then vice versa, and you flip it around. So it's a very, very nice position for us to be in. But I think this week is going to be I don't want to say our first real test, but certainly against the Giants, certainly against the teams that we played prior to the Cardinals, I don't think you could say, are we matched up yet against a properly good team? Pittsburgh at the beginning, and we've seen are not a good team. So this one's going to be a real humdinger, and it's got all the history to it. It's got all the historical bits and pieces. Sunday night football. It's got everything that you could possibly want. And I think in San Fran, it's the end of Navy week as well. So like it's like a massive week in San Fran as well. So it's going to be a massive game, and I cannot wait for it. Obviously, well, I can wait for it because it's 1 a.m. in the morning over here.
Well, this is my
I'm power napping. I don't mind it. I'm power napping.
This is my game of the week. This is my game of the week for sure. Like this is my
childhood. I mean, right? Cowboys, Niners, right? That's
Niners.
What we grew up watching.
Whoever wins this game wins the Super Bowl. It's that. It's got all of that, right? It's got best teams. It's got Terrell Owens on the star. It's got everything you could possibly want, and all that stuff will come out. So, the content creators in the NFL and all those guys who are getting ready for those adverts must love this game when it rolls around in a regular season, because they can just go history dump of just great names, big games. It's all there. It all writes itself, the story almost, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's going to be a great watch for sure.
Yeah, no, and of course, I'm lucky in the way that it's our bye week, so I get to enjoy football without the stress. So.
Hopefully, all your guys are getting patched up.
That's always my favorite week of football is our bye week, because that's the one week I can just enjoy football, no stress, Yep. So yeah.
Yours doesn't come to week 14 or something this year, doesn't it?
Yeah, ours is later.
A late one. So
yeah,
I think ours is 8 or 9 or something, which kind of split the season quite nicely just before playing you guys, I think. So.
It's funny because I usually hate an early bye week, but our team is so beat up. By the end of the last game, we had 17 guys reporting on the injury report. It's like, what is that? 17 guys? It's roughly almost 30% of your team.
It's 33% of your team is kind of talking to the physio, going, "Ow, everything hurts." Something. Yeah.
So as much as I hate an early bye week, man, this team needed it.
It's come at the perfect time for you guys. Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah,
and somehow they were still able to string together wins. Right? I mean, they were using 3 tight end sets. Some of them were behind the line of scrimmage, just lined up straight next to your quarterback, like they were additional running backs. I mean, how our tight ends didn't end up on the injury report is amazing.
But yeah, as you say, you're finding ways to battle through all that, and getting into a position of winning some games that you maybe didn't think you would, and whatever else. So you've got to be pretty happy where you stand right now.
Yeah, I mean, you could never be mad at 3-1, right? Like, I mean, that's
right.
like even if they're ugly wins, which let's be honest, they kind of were, but at the end of the day, they're in the win column, so that's
exactly
the part that matters. Hopefully, like one of the Bobby Wagner got interviewed this last week, and he said, "Oh, this team hasn't hit its potential." And it's like, well, obviously not, because they haven't had the same guys on the field. Like if we can get all the guys on the same on the field together at the same time, it'd be amazing.
Yeah, if you're, as you say, 3-1 already, scrapping some wins, and with second strings, third strings, or patched up and whatever else, and carrying bits and pieces. Yeah, a week off has come at the perfect time for you guys. You got a bit of a chance. Not sure what your schedule looks like when you come back from the bye. Is it
Bengals? Get the Bengals.
Oh, another bye. Nice.
Another bye. No, yeah, no, straight in.
So this is where I want the Cardinals to do some work. So I picked the Cardinals to win this game, right?
Yeah, right. So did I. Yeah.
Yep.
And you guys definitely can. The way you guys are playing football, you definitely can.
For sure.
That Bengals defense is not great. Burrow clearly can't move around the way he normally can.
Yeah, they've gone away from their run as well, haven't they? They're not using Mixon or anything. They just don't seem to have an idea.
They have some injuries also, but this is such a winnable game for Arizona, and one that I really think you guys should be able to steal. And the outcome of this game, I think, really changes on whether or not the Seahawks end up seeing Joe Burrow or not. Because if they drop to 1-4, they may just
sit him down,
to get him healthy, right? They may just say, you know what, get healthy. Our season is basically done in the AFC anyway.
Yeah, and I can't see them getting back from that position in the AFC. They're in a too competitive a league to bounce back from 1-4. So it makes sense for them to just go, Joe, we've just given you however much money. Can you just go? It's a long-term thing. Go sit
Yeah,
yourself
don't
down
die
and
out
get that.
That makes sense. It makes a lot of sense. But hey, you can beat the Bengals with Joe Burrow. So
Yeah, they're not.
if the Cardinals go out today and beat them, which I expect them to do, I fully expect the Seattle coming off the bye week to beat a Joe Burrow, leading the Bengals. And going back to your point about them not running the ball, I was doing some research last night, and I think Joe Mixon's high for the year already is like 62 yards rushing. No, they are not giving him the ball. There's a lot of 45-yard games, 52-yard games, so they're not feeding him. I think Higgins is out today, so it's like just
Busted
key
ribs or
in on.
something, yeah.
Yeah, and everybody knows about Burrow's calf injury, so that kind of eliminates that 5-7 step drop driving off that back foot. It's kind of a sit and duck really in that pocket, and it's really good for us being the young guys that we have on that front line. Vicar Dimukeji, guys like that who are really Dennis Gardeck, who are hungry and are going to make this a great game to watch. So
Yeah.
I'm going today with my son, my 7-year-old. We're gonna have a blast, and I
Nice.
can't wait. Yeah, I have the Cardinals winning outright.
Yeah. Hey, Gringo, thanks for your thanks kinda for your comment.
Yeah.
Kinda. I'll take the first half of that comment, and the second half we'll just let that slide. I mean, it starts already. I mean, it's been crazy over here in the UK. Lots of Cowboys fans over here as well are coming out of the woodwork. We've got plenty of memes and plenty of pictures to bounce back at them, but it's great. It's good fun in the UK when you get that kind of stuff going. Because from a US perspective, it's ingrained, but when you kind of get that sort of rivalry between you fans in the UK, it's just like adds. It just shows, talking about the London game and stuff, how much the game has progressed and how much it's now become, quite ingrained in the normality. It's soccer, as we call it, as you guys call it, but football will always take precedence. But it's great to see the NFL becoming, part of the mainstream and being, rivalries and stuff like that starting to show up. So it's great.
Absolutely. And I just real quick to say that I think what a great thing to have games there in the UK, right? I mean, I don't know exactly how I feel about having a team in the UK with just the logistics of the travel and things like that for the players.
For the player, yeah, it's going to be a crazy logistic challenge.
What an awesome environment to have games played over there periodically. You see, we just see clips and stuff and just the energy and the fans, and they absolutely love it. And I try to think if I lived in another state and the Cardinals came to and played in my state once every 4 or 8 years, I'm going to pay whatever I can to go to that game. Imagine living in the UK. I mean, that would be like a once in a lifetime. If my Cardinals came to play in the UK, I'm paying whatever. I mean, I'm calling out for the week, off work.
Exactly.
Like I'm making a huge thing of it. So
we do have an NFL show around the UK, and we were talking about it because it's now 10, 11 years of the international series at the UK, and we were spoilt for choice by being disappointed with the slate of games we got this year.
Okay.
Because we got the Jags twice, home and away type thing, and it was a bit like and it's like we get 3 live NFL season games, right?
Yeah.
It's not preseason, not exhibitions, which we used to get. These are like live, divisional games or games that count. And then we were like, would have been nice if we got the Jags twice, we got the Falcons back again, which is the second time in 3 years. It's a bit like it would have been nice if we got some other teams, Niners, for example, who haven't been over for 11 years. It's like, it's about time, guys. We came over and we thought we were going to get them because we played the Jags away, and we, from a UK perspective, were very much hoping that it was going to be the Niners Jags, but it's not to be. But as you say, next year it seems quite likely that the Niners are coming over as the home team, because I think the rotation of which teams go where and whatever else. So yeah, Niners fans are going to just be all over that.
Jags Bears, let's be honest.
Yeah, probably.
Right. Yeah.
Something like, but usually the games go over here. They come with a Super Bowl atmosphere, because you get fans from all 32 teams turn up. Doesn't matter where they're just doesn't care. It's not like a home game for any team. Some get a little bit, and as we've talked about before, the Jacksonville have done bang up job. They've done a really good job in building that younger generational base. They've not tried to go and get like myself or Sam or any UK fans who are already fans of the game. They know they're kind of like, well, you've got your team. You're not going to become suddenly a Jags fan. But what they've
They're
done is
marketing to that
they're
younger
marketing
crowd.
for the kids. They've done really well to do that, and
That's
you can
smart.
see that it's over time a lot more green and a lot more teal shows up at Wembley than it used to be, just a mass of different colours and different jerseys. But it's great work, and it's amazing that you see, as you say, 3 games over here. They sell out instantly as soon as the tickets go on sale. They just gone.
We hear about that, yeah.
Yeah.
And just like I said earlier, just seeing it on TV and seeing the energy in the stadium, it's like, wow, how
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah, and it's interesting because I think what's interesting from a UK perspective, they got Wembley, which holds 90,000, and even that sells out even for Jags Falcons. That was gone in an instant, right? But then they've reduced it and they've gone to Tottenham, which is the NFL specifically built stadium, and that only holds 60, 65. So they're managing to keep the desire and the ticket sort of, because you can only get 65,000, you can't get 90,000. It's keeping that supply demand going. It'd be very interesting to see what they do in Germany this year again, from a UK, the NFL perspective, because they've gone to a much smaller stadium in Germany, which has upset a few people because they've taken a bloody damn good game, taken it to Germany and put it in a 40,000 seater stadium. It's like,
Oh wow,
they could have sold that 6 times over,
yeah.
So, but the experience, and as you say, the experience in Germany last year was amazing. I think the NFL was just blown away with that whole, the whole stadium staying, partying, singing, and everything else. So, yeah, it's a great razzmatazz experience, and they really buy into it in the UK. They've really kind of given it the full extra level of, it's the international series. It's a big event. It's not just a regular game, because for those fans it's not, because it's not regular. We don't get to see these,
Right.
So it's not a run-of-the-mill normal thing. People travel down, they take the week off, as you say, Jay, and they all travel to London, and London is just awash with bits and pieces and different things to see. So yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah, very cool to see.
There was a lot of Hawks jerseys in Germany last year. That was that was impressive. I was like, hey.
Yeah, they love the Legion of Boom in Germany. Yeah. I mean, the European League of Football, which kind of was the spin-off of the World League Football that kind of tried to kind of do that league outside of the US for a little while. Teams in Germany are still going strong. They're still packing stadiums out, and they are absolutely crazy for big hitting strong defenses. And obviously Legion of Boom was massive at that time.
I'm so glad the Legion of Boom is over.
Me too.
I mean, they're trying to rebuild it though.
They had a pretty good defensive performance last time out. Witherspoon finally kind of, I don't want to say announced himself, but he had the kind of game that everyone knew he could have, right?
Yeah, I mean, his stat sheet is stupid from that Giants game, right?
Yeah.
2 sacks, 2 tackles for loss. I think 7 total tackles, a pick
6
six
solo tackles or something.
I mean, yeah, like you only get those stat lines in like Madden.
Yeah, right.
It was a Madden
one. You guys have 11 total stacks, right?
Yeah. So the thing that was crazy, I really think that this team taught us more about the Giants than it did about the Seahawks. Is the problem?
Yeah,
sure.
They had 11 total sacks. They actually could have had 4 more. Just Daniel Jones is big enough that he fell across the line of scrimmage. But the thing that was crazy about it is, this is why I think we learned more about how bad that Giants O-line is of those 11 sacks, 7 different guys had a sack. 4 of them had multiple sacks. So, I mean, that's not a design issue where a guy is just that much better than someone else. This was, it was a track meet to the quarterback.
Turnstiles up front.
Yeah. I mean, it was just nothing but holes. I posted a video where
nobody blocked anybody.
What's that?
Is that the one where it was like the whole offensive line just didn't block anybody?
Well, he blocked his own guy. It was a block in the back of his other offensive linemen. So then we had 2 guys run free to go just tattoo Daniel Jones. It's just like, I mean,
Daniel Jones
what
isn't
are we
great,
doing?
but you've got no chance, right? He had no. There was certain. I think I saw that one from you. I saw another one where literally there was a snap, and yeah, all of the Giants' offensive line just blocked air, missed, just whiffed on everything, and just had
Yeah.
four Hawks just running free, and you just think it doesn't matter what QB you've got back there, you've got absolutely no chance of anything happening there.
No, if you got defensive linemen arriving at the same time as the snap, it's not going to be a good play.
But yeah, I think you're right. I think what's becoming clear is we thought that Giants Cowboys game was an anomaly sort of score, but it's becoming clear that that Giants team is just not
Bad.
good. Just bad. It's just bad. It's just bad. And it's interesting because obviously, talking about the Caleb sweepstakes and Jay, we said that you guys are going to first high picks and whatever else, and there's some really bad teams out there that you're going to be kind of stealing your high picks. I think the Giants are going to be in there. The
That's
Bears,
great. Yeah.
So at this point, there's only one winless team, right? The Panthers.
Panthers, yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah. But the Panthers traded away their pick for next year, didn't they? So they didn't even have the first rounder. They gave it to Chicago.
To the Bears, right? Yeah. I don't think the Bears will be in the market for a QB. I don't think the Panthers obviously aren't going to be in the market for a QB, but there's definitely going to be some QB needy teams out there that they're going to be, calling us and asking for our pick. So
yeah. What about that rumbling rumors of Kyler being available?
They're getting some steam.
Yeah, and if you notice, all of these rumors or these people announcing this are outside of the organization. Inside of the organization and the local media here, we just kind of roll our eyes when we hear stuff like that. It's like, okay, this is just news stabby stuff, clickbait. You're just dropping this because it's sensational. Ooh, let me click on that and read that. Everybody here in the organization, fans are like, listen, it's stupid. It's not going to happen. And why would you do it? I mean,
I think we talked about it a couple of weeks ago, didn't we? About how much of a cap hit there is still there. So to trade him away and get somebody to pick that up, it's like
from a cap hit. I mean, we'd be in cap prison for a couple years. I mean, why would you do that? Number one. Number two, I was talking to a buddy the other day, and he brought up the same thing. It's like, so I read it. I'm like, listen, it doesn't make any sense. If worst case scenario, you're still going to roll him out there because you want to showcase him to trade him to a team. Exactly. Otherwise, you're getting pennies on the dollar. If you choose not to play him this year and then trade him, you're going to get pennies on the dollar. And you're the dead cap hit, the salary you're going to eat is going to be enormous. We're going to be the laughing stock for the next 3 to 5 years.
Hamstring you for 3 to 5, as you say, easily.
It makes absolutely zero sense. And if you're seeing what Joshua Dobbs is doing, imagine what Kyler Murray can do in this system. And I think that's why Jonathan Gannon, one of the reasons why he came over here was he realized, hey, with a running quarterback who can also throw and make good decisions a la Jalen Hurts, this offense, we can do some really good things. And you're really seeing that. I don't want to get ahead of myself too much, but we really are seeing a lot of the things Jonathan Gannon's bringing over from the Eagles, that toughness, that physicality, that smart style of play, and that run first, thought process. That's kind of the opposite of what Cliff Kingsbury imprinted on this team, right? And so you're really seeing that, and we're all super happy and impressed with Dobbs, but make no mistake about it, Kyler Murray is night and day. I mean, he's just elite. He's elite in my eyes. So,
well, I mean, we'll see, right? We'll see how he comes back from injury. That being said, everything you hear about what he's doing working out wise, like he seems like mentally he's like, okay, I have to be an adult now.
That's exactly right. And I'm glad you said that. And you hear stuff like that. You hear, backstories about, he's finally starting to get it. He's finally starting to realize, listen, I need to grow up. I need to be a leader. I need to be the leader that I'm supposed to be and what this organization is paying me to be. And, I think he knows that. He knows that, listen, it's time for me to step up. I have all the athletic ability in the world to compete with anybody. I just got to be a better leader.
Yeah.
And, I think guys like Jonathan Gannon, I think Greg Petzik, our offense coordinator, I think they're going to pull that out of him. So, yeah, I'm excited about our future and what's going on.
I think you've got the right coaching staff there now to either put the arm around or to maybe not the arm around, but maybe more of a carrot stick approach. I think they'll eke that leadership and force it out of him because it's time. He's got, as you say, he's got the bag. He's there. He's looked upon as being the leader, and it's time for him to step up and do it. And this, I think we talked about it at the end of the last year when this was the perfect opportunity for him to go away, get his head set, get back to get work through the injury, but during that time also work on himself. And from all accounts, he's doing all the right things. He's saying all the right things. He's on the sideline. You can see him there, even though he's nowhere near ready for playing, but he's on the sideline. He's there with the team. So it all points in the right direction, which is where you, as a football fan, you kind of want it to go. You want to see Kyler on the field. You want to see him doing the crazy stuff that he does. Ideally not against us, Bo, because but we'd love to see it because what he brings to a football team is amazing. So yeah, the hope is that he gets back sooner. I mean, I don't know if you're planning on getting him out on the field until about week 8 or so. I'm assuming is probably about the right sort of time.
A few more weeks to go, but and to your point, I think he did post something about along those lines on, I don't know, IG, TikTok, whatever these kids use nowadays. I have no idea, but at first he was focusing on the storm instead of the clarity afterwards, right? Right after a storm, what happens? It's calm. And now that's what he's focused on, and it was inspirational to see or hear about. And two, to talk more about Jonathan Gannon, what he brings and his mantra and what he talks about all the time is chasing the process and not the results. And man, have these guys fully bought into that? We're chasing the process. The result's going to be inevitable, right? But chase that process and be hungry about that process. And guys like Kyler and every guy on that roster and in that organization is just bought into that. And they're all about the process. Yeah. And we're seeing the dividends on game day, as fans.
Yeah. And you're seeing it now. Imagine what you'll see when you plug Kyler in to that already functioning pretty well off. And as you say, Dobbs is doing great.
Can't wait.
But he's
he
not
absolutely
Kyler, right?
is.
But he's not Kyler, so he'll.
It reminds me when we hired Bruce Arians and they instantly signed Drew Stanton, and everybody was super excited. And then we signed Carson Palmer. To me, it's kind of the same thing. It's like, listen, Josh Dobbs is great. I think he's going to be a great backup. And how amazing is that to have a backup to work? If Kyler goes down, Kyler has to miss a game or two or whatever, a guy like Josh Dobbs can step in. That's
because that was always a bit of a hamstring for you, wasn't it? Before Kyler went down, and you looked around, you were like Colt McCoy, which is perfectly functional, but he's not.
He went 2-1 one year, but he also went like 1-3 the next year. So I mean, nothing about Cole, but I think Colt's son.
That was probably against the Seahawks, right?
It was.
I think the other year was against us as well. I think he beat us.
Man, Colt McCoy was always that just problem for the Seahawks. I don't know what it was, but he was an issue.
I think that was the game they beat us 13-9 or something. It was like a horrible game, but it was like we couldn't even. It was like seriously, we were like, oh my god, Murray's out. We're going to win it.
Even Cardinal fans were amazed at that score. That was amazing.
But also, talking about that, Michael Wilson come out of Stanford. He's really stepped up. He's looking a real great steal for you guys. And I know a couple of guys in the UK, Stanford fans, were like, I really wish we'd have somehow managed to find a way of getting him. But you've finally got him. And what's happened to the receiver that kind of ran us ragged in Mexico last year? Was it Dortch? Is he injured?
Greg Dortch?
I haven't heard a lot about him. He's still around, is he? Because he kind of just, I think Wilson's just come along and kind of maybe in the ascendancy, isn't he? Yeah.
And then you got Rondell Moore, so it's really hard for Greg Dortch to get on the field. But Michael, it's so nice to see him getting this pub right. And this week there's been a lot of talk about, hey, doesn't he remind you of Larry Fitzgerald? And it's like, well, first of all, let's pump the brakes on that one. But
whoa, okay, he's got dreadlocks. That's about it. Come on, guys.
Right.
Whoa.
When Larry first came into the league, Larry wasn't quite Larry, or at least the Larry that we all know, right? I believe Anquan Bolden was drafted the year before, and this was Anquan Bolden's team. I'm an Anquan Bolden guy. Anquan Bolden is my favorite Cardinal of all time. Him and Adrian Wilson. And I'll always say Anquan Bolden's a better receiver, Cardinal receiver in my eyes than Larry Fitzgerald. No one will believe or agree with me outside of maybe Anquan Bolden's family. But Larry didn't have that style until like year 4, 5, 6, until guys like Kurt Warner had to get into his ear, and I forget the offensive coordinator's name, went to Super Bowl, Todd Haley, right? And had to challenge him and say, hey, let's not be a one-trick pony, right? You high point the ball, you can catch anything. You run out of bounds, you get down early, you're a little bit of a, sis, right? And that really got to him. They didn't embarrass him or anything. They really pulled him aside like a brother and had this challenging conversation with him. And then he turned it on and was the Larry Fitzgerald that we all know. Mike's that guy from day one. Yeah, he's just been phenomenal. We put that tush push play in our playbook, and he's back behind Joshua Dobbs. Michael is. So it's just amazing. He's such a physical wide receiver. Reminds me of like a Ayuk as far as like the skill set, but also of a Debo is
kind of a big body as well.
Absolutely. He wants that physicality. Yep. He wants that. He wants every bit of the smoke. So it's very nice to see. And again, it's the pieces coming together with, Hollywood and Rondell and James Concrete Connor. Jeez.
That man is a brick, isn't he?
He is. Yep. So nice to see.
It's all as you say, the pieces and the process starting to come together for you guys, and it bodes well for not just the end of this season, but more importantly, getting Kyler back fully fit for a full season next one. It makes it interesting also for the NFC West. It tightens that up as well, because I think the Rams are a surprise this year so far. They're better than I think most of us thought they would be. So it's going to tighten that all up and make those games again be the arm wrestles that they always are with each of our teams. It doesn't matter which one it is. There shouldn't be, and there never usually is an easy game in this conference. And with the pieces and the process, it's
always good football. Like I love divisional games.
Absolutely.
I prefer a divisional win, but I mean, the games are always awesome, regardless of the schedule or of the records. Like the games are always, a boxing match. Like they're
absolutely. Yeah.
It's like last man standing half the time, isn't it? And it's like who manages to land that last hit or whatever else, So
it's also why we very rarely have a number one seed, because our division just cannibalizes each other the whole year.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's going to change this year. But I think you're absolutely right. Real quick though, let's talk about that Rams-Eagles game. And what do you guys think about the Cooper Kupp injury? To me, it's so odd. It was listed as a grade 1.
Yeah.
Right? Pull. You don't miss that much time with the grade 1.
Typically,
number 1.
But when you have Nakua showing out the way he is, you don't have to rush him back either.
Okay. Earlier in the week, they said, we're not going to activate him yet until he's like 80 or 90%. You're telling me that he missed 2 months with a grade 1 hamstring tear, and he wasn't at 80 or 90% at the beginning of the week?
Yeah.
To me, that just didn't sound right. Then they activated him. So it's just going to be very interesting to me. He's going to be on a pitch count today, obviously, but it's going to be very interesting to me to see, like, I don't know. There's just it feels like there's something they're not telling us. Like,
Yeah, there's a niggle there.
that wasn't a grade 1 then.
A grade 1, not for that amount of time. Hamstring, yes, I
Right.
know, fast twitch muscles, and yeah, but
I mean, it's funny though, because I had that tear in my hamstring, and it did take a long time. And even now, today, right, I still have like a knot in the middle of my right hamstring from that tear. So, I mean,
Okay.
it does take a long time to heal that particular muscle. So, I mean, maybe, but it doesn't sound, it sounds like either maybe something happened during rehab that,
A little
stalled
setback.
progress or
a
something.
little setback, came back too soon, tried to sprint too early, maybe gave it a little bit of a niggle.
And no offense to Cooper, but it's not like he's a burner. You know what I mean? Like, he's not. He's not
like
running 22.
Scorch earth
He's
behind
not
you,
Tyreek Hill, so it's like we don't have to worry about.
So
But no,
actually, it would be better if he was.
Yeah.
Okay.
So because of the way you use your hamstring, cutting in and out,
Getting in and out of
you're
breaks,
constantly trying to get that burst. So you're putting the most amount of stress on your leg in
starting and stopping.
Exactly. And so that's actually the way he plays is worse for that injury.
Okay.
Tyreek Hill is just like go, right?
Yeah,
So,
he's just like flat out. And
He's like Forrest Gump. Yeah.
Well, you only have that one launch, right? You're only really pushing that one time, and then you're building
everything else is cruise control. Yeah.
Kind of. But if you are plant and push, then I mean you're putting that hamstring under all that pressure, multiple times a play rather than just off the line and go.
Yeah. But it would be interesting to see how they reintegrate Cooper into that offense, as you say, with Nakua, who's just kind of slotted in like for like, a clone aspect of it. Where does they haven't missed him.
No, I mean they play very similarly. Is the thing that's crazy is they Nakua is a little bigger, but he gets in and out of his cuts really
gets the separation really well.
Yeah. Although, could you imagine when they're running, like a trips, and you got Cup and Nakua next to each other
on the same side?
I mean, man, that is a tall ask for a nickel corner or an outside linebacker to.
Well, you can score. You can score on that Eagle secondary too. That Eagle secondary hasn't quite, hit
they're 4-0, but they're not clicked. They haven't hit the heights yet. They're not.
Listen, that front seven is legit. That front seven's good, but that secondary, you can score on that secondary. So it's going to be interesting. But Cooper plays close to the line of scrimmage, so it's good. I mean, if he gets, we'll see.
I think you're right, though. I think he's going to be on a pitch count. I don't think he's going to play a ton. I think they're just going to try and see if his leg is, going to hold up.
Yeah, if he feels any secondary effects of, padding up and getting out there on game day with practice and whatever is one thing, as we all know, but get out on game day and the intensity and everything else is just ramped up. So I think you're right. He'll be on a snap count. He'll be checking constantly after every drive and everything. How's it feel? What is it? What's it like? And as you say, they've got a ready-made replacement set, already flying. So why would you risk him too much?
Exactly.
But yeah, I've got an eye on that Rams Philly game because the Eagles haven't really looked convincing yet. They've got their brotherly shove and whatever it is they're calling it now, and
the tush push,
brotherly shove. Yeah,
exactly.
So
but
they just haven't.
I actually love all of the NFC West games this week. I mean, I understand that we're not playing, but
well, you love them all, right? Because you're like, woohoo!
When you look at the matchups, though, I like these matchups, right? Like, obviously, your game is going to be awesome, right? Like, that's going to be a great game. Excited about it. The Cards get the Bengals, right? It's like, okay, let's see this scrappy team take on a Bengals team that isn't playing the way they should, but they still have all the pieces. So that's going to be a fun game to watch. And then you got the Rams game where you're like, okay, like, let's see what they really have. It's like, okay. I mean, all of the NFC West lineup those are must watch games.
Yeah, there's nothing you can kind of just red zone and kind of go, be all right to see how it's going on, right? It's like, oh, I want to see that because, as you say, scrappy Cardinals against the Bengals team, not firing, looking like they could easily just fold a little bit, and
Sure.
Burrows goes down.
They
And
need, right? So that's going to be two teams really that want that win, because the Bengals don't want to start 1-4, and
No.
because if they do, their season is essentially over. And then
Sure.
the Cards are trying to prove that they're not tanking, right? Like they're out there just battling it out. So that's going to be a fun game because both teams really want that game.
Yeah.
I'd be really surprised though if the Niners didn't cover. I don't see it again.
Well,
what's the over under cover?
3.5. Well,
it's 3.5. Okay, so it came down a little bit. Did the spread come down too? Then it was 45 or the.
I show 40. I show 45.
Oh, okay.
You know what? I kind of don't like how this format turns me into like a closet Niner fan. Like I genuinely hate. I shouldn't say hate. I don't hate anybody but U of A. I genuinely dislike San Fran, Seattle, and the Rams. Okay,
Sure.
So let me be very, very clear about that. I just respect great football, and especially defensive football, because that's where I played, and I love defense. So, and what I see from the 49ers, I mean, it's just a joy to watch play. And I think there's one team.
I think the game this week is just going to be a masterclass on both sides.
I really don't. I really don't think. I think there's one team out there that can beat the 49ers, and I think that's the 49ers. I really do. I think seriously.
Yeah.
Look at the games you dropped last year against Atlanta?
Yeah.
The Broncos?
Brain fart.
Who loses to the Broncos? Oh, the Bears do.
Well,
but who else loses to the right? I mean,
Jimmy G stepping out and doing a Dan Orlovsky,
So I think that's your biggest challenge is just yourselves, right? Because you guys, the talent is it's ridiculous. And
it's the most complete team in the league.
It's not even close. It's not even close. The closest is the Eagles, but we say here and hey, that secondary can be scored on. They just haven't quite put all phases together yet. What can you say about the Niners?
I think it's interesting that we're still finding our feet on defense with Steve Wilkes as well, right? Because he's come in and it's like we're not getting the stacked pressure from the front four that everyone, our D line is just stacked, and we'll talk about Gregory in a second, but we're stacked up front on that front four, but they're not getting the massive, the 11 sacks a game against the Giants the week, I think Eric Armstead posted something just like, geez, Giants, why did you dink and dunk so quickly against us, and then you turn up against the Seahawks? Why did we not get the respect like that? But it's quite funny. It made me laugh. It did make me chuckle. But yeah, they're not. It's kind of like I think Steve Wilkes is kind of still embedding his system in our defense because
sure,
we're still playing kind of soft coverage at the back, but the front four are not quite getting the sacks and getting the pressure. So there are times, the Cardinals marched quite easily a couple of drives against our sort of soft zone. So it's like, when do you balance you start playing a bit more press, or you start bringing a little bit more up front to give your DBs a little bit more sort of support on that sort of soft cover. So that's I think the thing that's going to be interesting for this game as well, because Cowboys are going to look to go CD Lamb all the time, early, quick.
Oh, sure.
So,
absolutely.
Because I don't think Pollard's going to be doing too much up the middle against Armstead and Hargrave and, that D line. So I think it's going to be CD Lamb on quick slants and stuff. So we're going to have to jam him up or get, in his face. Otherwise, he could have a day.
That is one thing about your D is it's funny that they play. There's times during the game that they play that they don't trust the speed of your secondary.
Yeah.
Which is weird. Because, you got talent back there.
Yeah.
But you'll see.
But it doesn't. What we don't have back there is speed.
Yeah. Well, you don't have you don't have the Seahawks secondary speed, obviously, but you have dudes that can run.
Yeah.
But I get you wouldn't be playing full on press coverage, but you play less man than I think you're capable of.
Yeah. And that's, I think, where we need to kind of up that sort of ratio a little bit to give the front guys a little bit more time, because everyone knows that our front guys are going to be coming after the the QB, pin their ear back and go. But also other teams know that, so they're going to be scheming to not give them the time to do that. So hence the the quick outs, the quick slants, and whatever else. So that should bring man up and should allow us, to counter that. We should be playing a little bit more man. But when do you do that? You don't do it against. Do you bring it in against Dallas in a massive game like this? Probably not. I don't know. But again,
there's no film on it.
Yeah. Yeah, I suppose that's the other way, isn't it? You're just like, hey, we haven't done this, and then suddenly you mess with the offensive coordinator for the Cowboys by just saying, hey, we're playing man for the first 6 drives or whatever else, and just completely throw a curveball at him.
Yeah, I mean, you make Mike McCarthy beat you at that point. Like, okay, you haven't seen this. What are you going to do?
And it's going to come down to things like that, isn't it? This game, it's two teams that are so balanced, well matched, historically and all that sort of. And this game is the game of the week for everybody. It's the Sunday night game. Everybody's going to be watching it. It's got everything written to make it like one of those games. It's going to need some either coaching magic or a player that hasn't quite fired yet to kind of step up and be that player for us, I think.
It's that primetime game that is actually fitting the bill of being a primetime game. Because I feel like we haven't had enough of those where it's in prime time.
We've had plenty of primetime games, but we've not had a prime time game, have we?
Exactly. We've had, stuff like the Bears and the Commanders on Thursday night. You're like, okay. I mean, it's football, so I'm going to watch it, but like that's not exactly a lineup I want to see.
Yeah, I didn't stay up and watch that. I did not stay up and watch that Friday morning.
Yeah, of course not.
I was definitely giving that one a swerve. But yeah, this one is like it was penciled in early. It was always, there's a bunch of UK guys all getting together to kind of watch it virtually together. Awesome. 1 a.m. in the morning. It's just going to be mayhem, and I do not look forward to work at 9 a.m. tomorrow morning. That's
tomorrow, yeah. Oh man, that's gonna be tough.
Yeah, no, that's actually one of the things that was funny about doing shows this morning, right? Because I came from another one to this one this morning, and but we took my friend's kid out for his 21st birthday last night, so we got in late.
Yeah. Like,
it's like, all right, well, let me take a nap so then I can jump
power
on
nap. Yeah. And that's the thing. That's definitely what's happening here. And a lot of the UK guys will be like, "Oh, watch the early game, probably catch red zone a little bit, but then there'll definitely be a strategic power nap happening. That's for sure." But I don't mind. I'm 50 years old. I'll take it a power nap. No way I can work right the way through. Right.
I'll take all the power naps I can get, but I think you guys have scored 30 points in every game you played this year, right?
Yep, 30 points since Brock went under center. I mean, every game that Brock's played, he scored 30. So
so I mean, and the over under is what, 45? So 30 to 14, 30. I mean, this when you got a guy like CMC that's averaging 5.7 yards a carry, and a guy like Brandon Ayuk who's averaging 103, 106 yards a game. I mean, to me, I again, I'm a little biased because I see a lot of Niner football, but I just don't think it's. And you're asking Dak to do something that Dak's not good at, and that's rise to the occasion and play this caliber of team. And Dak's not good at that. Dak's not good at being on that big stage, playing at a very high level and great against a great team.
Yeah. And it's interesting that, there is that aspect of, is Dak a kind of Kirk Cousins-esque, primetime Kirk Cousins?
Yeah.
Dak doesn't do it against, he does it in primetime, but he does it in primetime against the Commanders.
Jacksonville Jaguars. Yeah.
When he comes
the Bears.
I mean, his stats mirror Kirk Cousins almost identically, but who he is
has a lot of yards, high completion percentage, but
just can't get it done.
Who do you beat?
Yeah. Well, so who he is he literally is Tony Romo.
Yeah.
Like even in the playoffs, right? Like he has.
I like Tony Romo.
No, but like I mean,
I like him as an analyst.
He's
a
that
great
guy.
analyst.
Honestly, Romo, if he could have stayed healthy, I think probably would have had a better career than he did. I mean, he was banged up all the time, but
Yeah.
But his lack of success in December and lack of success in the playoffs is exactly what Dak has become.
Mm.
Right? Like they both have one playoff win. They got a few losses. They, lose a lot of games after Thanksgiving. Like the Thanksgiving game is their last one that they actually try hard. Like there's just something about that Dallas team that can't seem to play in December and the first part of the playoffs. Like they just they fall apart for whatever reason. It's why I always laugh at the rankings when they're super high early in the year. It's like, okay, you guys
it's just
are
name recognition alone.
Dallas Cowboys got to be third seed this year. Why? Because they're Dallas.
Yeah.
Basically, yeah.
So,
but talk about putting it all together. It's, I mean, you have a guy and they're, their running back. I'm drawing a blank.
Tony Pollard.
Tony Pollard. He's on my fantasy league too. Averaging 4.3 yards a carry.
Yeah.
The league average is 4.5. You got a banged up offensive line. You got a receiver in Brandon Cooks who's produced everywhere he's been except Dallas. So they just haven't quite clicked on all cylinders yet. They haven't quite figured it out. Of course, a guy like CeeDee Lamb's going to eat because a guy like CeeDee Lamb's an elite talent. He's going to eat anywhere he goes.
Yes.
So, but outside of that, they just haven't quite impressed.
Well, and their defense, obviously got worse because Diggs gets hurt, right?
Sure.
Tears his ACL, done for the year. So, I mean, that's going to put some more pressure on that secondary because he's that guy. Mm-hmm. And, he's not only the leader, but, probably one of the best athletes on the back end. So,
sure.
I mean, there's going to be some things that the Niners can definitely expose on that team.
I think they've got a soft.
I fully expect you guys to cover.
Yeah, I see Kittle having a game because they're quite soft, middle wise, and against tight ends, I think.
And he's due to have one.
Yeah.
Right. So, I mean, because he seemed pretty uninvolved quite a bit this year. So,
games have passed him by. He's gone out there.
That's almost by design. Yeah, that's almost by design.
He's a decoy.
I'm telling that team just does not care. They're all about the name on the front and not the name on the back, and that's just something you really just respect about the Niners. They could care less, and because of it, they eat. Look at Brandon Ayuk, look at Debo, these guys, and they could care less. It seems like.
Yeah, and that's what, as you say, they don't care. That even the players themselves, they're not there going. Kittle's not there throwing, his helmet against the side. Going, why am I not getting the passes? Or AJ Brown on the sideline as a prime example.
Right.
You do not see that. The Niners are like, hey, if the ball goes to you, Juwan Jennings or Ray McLeod or Ronnie Bell, whoever it is, it's all it's all for the team. It's all for getting the win. That's what counts. It's not stats. It's not individual.
It helps when you're winning, though.
I mean, absolutely.
If you're uninvolved and you're catching W's, it's cool. If you're uninvolved and you're catching L's, it's a very different feel.
Yeah, because then you're like, well, hang on, I'm not,
I'm not
contributing anything here, and get me the ball. At least maybe I can feel like I had a chance to do.
But that's kind of a what came first, chicken or the egg kind of thing, right? Like, are they winning because of that mindset? Are they winning because of the team first mindset? And hey, it's not about me, it's about we. You got a guy in Brock Purdy who's still driving a Toyota Sequoia and living in an apartment with a roommate. And I just saw him visit a school the other week in like jeans and a t-shirt, and I'm like, "Where's your bling?
Where's the rings and the bling?
Like, come on, nothing."
It literally looked like he was going.
He had an Adidas hat. I'm like, "Yeah, you're that guy down the street, like, dude."
Yeah.
So, what's he making? $890,000 a year? I mean,
I'm sure his endorsements are probably making sure he's quite comfortable.
Way more than that.
More than that. But from a what he's making salary wise, it's like he's living within his salary means, that's for sure.
I just appreciate the attitude of that team, that mindset of that team. And yeah, you're right. It's very easy to have the attitude and mindset when you're winning, but I think a lot of the reason why they're winning is because of that mindset and that attitude of, it's about the name on the front, not the back.
Yeah, it leads me quickly, I know getting to the top of the hour almost while we've been talking, but we did just pick up yet another defensive line for the dirt on the bottom of Kyle's shoes. I think John Lynch scraped the bottom of his shoes and kind of threw that towards Denver, and they went, "Yeah, sure, we'll take that."
And we'll pay his salary.
And we'll pay him, boy. It was like, first I saw the trade, I was like, okay, and then it was like, but wait, Denver are now paying him as.
Like, how bad do you gotta want someone out of your building that you're like, if you just go away, we will cover your salary.
Yeah, we will pay your guaranteed money to go somewhere else, and if you could go somewhere a long way away as well, not just like from Denver to the West Coast. Can you go far away? So yeah, I mean, it was interesting, and it's why Denver did that. Is it a Sean Payton thing? Is he just clearing house? Is he just kind of picking and choosing and go right? Or is there a locker room upset issue, and that's why he's, as you say, you're paying $14 million to get a guy out of your building. There's got to be something there that's kind of caused that.
So, I read that there was some dissension between him and the team, but I have to imagine that's probably pretty common because this is a team that has been assembled for a couple of years that has done nothing but lose, right?
Yep.
So, I mean, tempers are going to fly high just because nothing is working. So
you'd be kind of weird if it wasn't, right? If there wasn't any dissension, you'd be more
because
worried.
That means you're comfortable with losing.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's never great. Yeah, I don't know. It's funny, though, because it reminded me a lot of the Carson Wentz, the Eagles just eating $44 million for you to, and, they're like, you know what, we'll take a pack of Big Red if you just move on
just
with
sign
your
it, just put him on, just go somewhere else. Yeah, absolutely.
We'll just eat the $44 million if you just go away. So, I mean, it
imagine if your employer said that, listen, you're fired, but we're going to pay all of your salary. Okay. And imagine okay.
Okay.
You're like, all right, I guess I'm fired. Cool.
I'm out.
Right. Okay. And wait, I can go and do the job for somebody else though. It's because if your employer said that to you,
double dip.
Like, we'll pay you, but you can't go and do it anywhere else for a year. But these guys are like, no, we'll pay you 14 minutes. Go and play somewhere else. It's like,
go to our competitor. Like, okay.
And I can go to the guys who are like Super Bowl favorites. You've got a chance to go.
Right. Like you're gonna fire me.
Okay.
You guys actually
How quickly was Randy Gregory's bags packed that day, right?
Oh my gosh.
His bags have probably been packed for a week and a half. Let's be honest.
That's true. They were very. But as soon as he heard he was heading California ways, he was like, "See ya, thanks. I'll take whatever I can get."
Yeah, that's the best part about it, right? Like you're getting fired, your old company is going to pay your salary out, and then but they'll be like, yeah, we're also going to send you to the industry leader to go work. It's like, okay, that sounds rad. Like, let's do that.
Sounds a terrible.
Sign me up.
Yeah, I'll have some of that. But yeah, I mean, it's an interesting. It's another piece on our D line. It's another,
that you can rotate in. Like, guys that caliber, that's huge.
That's massive. I know we let Hyder go, and I'm wondering, Bo, if he'll end up back at Seattle yet. He's not quite. No news there.
It would have been cool if Seattle would have pulled the trigger on something like that, especially to not have to pay for him and not have to give up anything. I mean, giving up a 6th or a 7th, it's like, okay, who cares?
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, you never get anything late round and on 6th or 7th, do you?
Yeah, I mean, you never. Once you're down that far, you never know what you're going to get. Right? Like they could work, they could, be nothing. Who knows? But if to pick up a talent like that Seattle needs, right? Like they need some stuff on that line. That would have been awesome. Naturally, you guys just get better, so that's annoying. But
it's very annoying.
I mean, don't get me wrong; it's a smart move. Like there's.
It's a smart move, but it's a lot. It's one of those moves where like everybody else is going, "Why didn't we do that?"
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. Why didn't we pick up the phone on that?
Yeah. How did they get that? Did they know something that we didn't know? Yeah. It came out of left field, but and it was interesting because a lot of talk about the Niners was how much cap space they made at the beginning of the year. even though, paying Bosa and everything else. And then suddenly we were 42 million with cap space. And it was like, well, that's a free agency sign. That's a big splashy signing or something. And then you go out and get something like this for veteran minimum, Denver paying the rest of it. It's like, what is that front office? Oh, how does that front office keep doing it?
Yeah.
Well, from a player perspective, though, it does make a lot of sense, though, right? I mean, especially if you're a player of that caliber, getting up there, you don't have a lot of years left in the tank, and you look up at the landscape of the NFL, where do you want to go?
Yeah.
Right? You want to go to a contender and where you got a shot to actually win. And what better team than the 49ers, right?
Yeah.
And then to make it even better, to sweeten the pot, you got your employer going, listen, I'll pay your salary and I'll send you to that team. And, that's the 49ers. And they're like, well, we can only pay you the league minimum. Sign me up.
Whatever.
Yeah.
And then I think we gave
to win the Super Bowl.
We gave them a late 7th and they gave us a 6 or 6 to 7. It's like,
yeah. I'm still waiting for Roger Goodell to step in and be like, no.
wait a minute.
No.
But Roger's in the UK, so he missed it. That was what the problem was. He's over here.
Yeah, he's in a pub somewhere.
Boys, again, another hour has flown by. Missed you guys last week. So glad we can kind of catch up today. And as you say, Bo, what a slate of NFC West games we've got to sit back, kind of eat the chips, put your feet up and enjoy it. So, Bo, definitely, seeing as you guys are not playing, I'm going to be slightly more nervous towards the end of the evening. But yeah, it should be a great Sunday for the NFC West, definitely.
Absolutely.
That's right. Great day of football.
Great day of football. It's always a great day of football when football's on, though.
That's right.
All right, boys. It's been a blast, and we'll catch up next week.
You know it.
Yes, sir. See you guys.
Take it easy.